live, 23rd of April 2026, láti iléeṣẹ́ wa, láti ìkànnì wa tí a mọ̀ sí Koikimedia. Òun náà ni àtútù dé bí a ṣe ń dé. Mo kí wa pé àkúrọ̀lẹ́, mo kí ọmọdé, mo kí àgbàlagbà, mo kí arúgbó, mo kí gbogbo ọmọ Oòduà, mo kí ọmọ káàárọ̀ òjíire. Mo kí wa pé ṣé dáadáa ni Adébáyín. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹ ti ṣe mọ̀, láti ìkànnì yìí náà ni a ti mú gbogbo ohun tí ó ń lọ nínú Nàìjíríà àti ìran ilẹ̀ káàárọ̀ òjíire. A tẹ̀dúpẹ́ pé a ní access sí social media láti máa fi bára wa sọ̀rọ̀ tí kò cost wa ní owó tó pọ̀. Àmọ́ kò kì í ṣe ọ̀fẹ́ náà, nítorí pé iṣẹ́ tí à ń ṣe níbí báyìí, iṣẹ́ tó ní ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ làákàyè àti ọgbọ́n. Mo kí gbogbo àwọn sọ̀rọ̀sọ̀rọ̀ tó ń bẹ lágbàáyé. Lákọ̀ọ́kọ́ mo máa kí ìyá tó bí mi lọ́mọ pé kọ́lọ́run ọba Elédùmarè kó jọ nínú ọlá ẹ̀, kó bá wa fi oríjì ìyá náà, kó foríjì bàbá mi náà, kó bá mi tẹ́ wọn sí afẹ́fẹ́ rere. Bí ẹ ṣe ń darapọ̀ mọ́ wa náà ni mò ń rí yín, bẹ́ẹ̀ ni mò ń kí yín. Lákọ̀ọ́kọ́ bí mo ṣe máa ń sọ, ẹ̀yin náà ni a máa máa bá. Gbogbo ìgbà tá bá ti lọ, tí a ṣeré lọ, tí a lọ títí títí tá bá tún padà dé, ẹ̀yin náà ni a máa máa bá. So mo kí wa lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí. Mo ní báwo ni ojú ọjọ́ ṣe rí ní agbègbè tọ̀dọ̀ tí yín lọ́hùn. Ṣé gbogbo ẹ̀ ṣé ó ń lọ bó ṣe jẹ́ kó lọ? Ọba Elédùmarè kò ní fi ìyà jẹ wá, kò ní fi ebi pa wá o, kò dẹ̀ ní fi oúnjẹ wa sí ọwọ́ àwọn ọ̀tá wa. Gbogbo ohun tí a tún fẹ́ sọ ní ìrọ̀lẹ́ yìí, nítorí pé aago mẹ́fà àbọ̀ ti lù. Mo dẹ̀ ní ìpàdé kan ní aago mẹ́jọ. So ìbá tá bá lè sọ títí dìgbà yẹn, nígbà tí a bá tún máa padà dé, a tún máa sọ èyí tó kù. But kọ́lọ́run kó fún wa sọ, kí ìntàfẹ́sọ náà, kí ọba Elédùmarè kó jọ́, kó wo ìran tiwa tí à ń pariwo ẹ̀ yìí. Torí ìran wa yìí náà ni à ń torí ẹ̀ ṣe wàhálà lé lórí. Kí ọba Elédùmarè kó má jẹ́ kí ìran ilẹ̀ Yorùbá, àwọn ọmọ káàárọ̀ òjíire, kí a parẹ́ láyé. Torí àdúrà táwọn kan ń gbà náà ni pé kí ìran Yorùbá kó parẹ́. Tó bá wá parẹ́, inú tí wọ́n á wá dùn, àbí bẹ́ẹ̀ kọ́? Ọlọ́run dẹ̀ ní fún wọn ṣe. But kọ́lọ́run ní fún wọn ṣe yẹn, àwa náà a gbọ́dọ̀ gbìyànjú tó pọ̀, láti máa jẹ́ káwọn èèyàn wá mọ̀ pé bloodline, kí ló ń pè bẹ́ẹ̀? Ó ṣe pàtàkì, ó ṣe kókó. Torí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wa tí a bá mọ̀, ó ṣe é ṣe káwa náà kọ́ àwọn ẹ̀kọ́ kan nígbà tá a bá ń bá ètò yẹn lọ. Torí ìmọ̀ kò pín sí ibì kan. Èmi lè sọ pé báyìí ni káwọn kan ní bẹ́ẹ̀ kọ́. But ìgbàkígbà tí a bá ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ ètò náà, mo mọ̀ pé Ọlọ́run tí ó ní wá á kọ́ wa mọ̀ ṣe. Mo kí yín ní gbogbo ilẹ̀ Oòduà. Mo kí gbogbo ọba aládé. Mo kí yín. Mo kí bàbá wa, Professor Adébánjí Akíntóyè, tí wọ́n jẹ́ alànà fún Yorùbá self determination. Mo lọ bẹ́ẹ̀, mo kí gbogbo ẹgbẹ́ Yorùbá nation. Mo kí àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá, àtẹni tó gbà fún Yorùbá nation, àtẹni tó gbà fún. Mo kí yín pé ẹ káalẹ́ o ní Kwara, ní Kogi. Mo bá bàámi Ìgbòho Òòṣà a sọ̀rọ̀ ní àárọ̀ yìí. Wọ́n tún ní kí n máa túbọ̀ máa kí gbogbo àwọn ọba wa lọ́hùn. Iṣẹ́ sì ń tẹ̀síwájú náà ni. Nígbà tí ẹ ti ń wọlé yẹn, ẹlòmíì ò mọ̀ pa ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ ètò. So ẹ darapọ̀ mọ́ wa lórí WhatsApp group wa. Kẹ́yìn lè jẹ àǹfààní tó pọ̀. So àwọn àǹfààní tẹ máa jẹ ni pé tá bá ti go live, gbogbo platform wa tá ti ń stream títí dé orí X náà ni ẹ ti máa máa rí. Àláfíà ni àwọn family wa. Mo kí gbogbo ọba ilẹ̀ Oòduà. Mo kí ní Ondo State, mo kí ní Èkìtì, mo kí ní Ọ̀ṣun State, mo kí ní Ọ̀yọ́. Mo wá kí wọn ní Ogun State. Mo kí gbogbo ẹgbẹ́ Ìjẹ̀bú parapọ̀. Àkópalẹ̀mọ́ láìpẹ́ láì jìnnà. Àwa náà á lọ bí ṣe àbẹ̀wò sí bàbá wa Ìgbòho Òòṣà. Mo lọ bẹ́ẹ̀, mo kí ní Lagos State àti àwọn Ọ̀yọ́. Mo kí gbogbo alẹ́ nǹkan sí. So let's, kick start, because like I said, there is, a limited time and there's always a lot to say. But a gbìyànjú èyí tí a bá lè tún fi sọ̀rọ̀ nírọ̀lẹ́, a gbìyànjú, a try. Èyí ni 23rd. We are putting date all the time. ó nídìí because a fẹ́ káwọn the next generation mọ̀ pé ní generation kan yìí àwa Gen Z a gbìyànjú láti ṣe tí Ọlọ́run kẹwàá fún. Oríṣiríṣi ni wọ́n discuss lórí social media, so sometimes bí ẹ kò kọlu bíbáyìí in tá à ń sọ ní bíbáyìí ó lè má tẹ́yìn lọ́rùn bọ̀ mọ̀ pé lọ́jọ́ iwájú àwọn tó jẹ́ family yín inú wọn á dùn pé àwa ṣèwọ̀nba tí Ọlọ́run rán wa láti fi sọ fáwọn èèyàn wa pé no retreat no surrender. Mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin màmá ẹ̀yin bàbá, mo kí ní Ghana, we have a lot of Yorùbá people, mo kí ní South Africa, mo kí àrólé Oòduà, àrólé tẹ́ntẹ́n rather, àti gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá tó ń bẹ ní South Africa. Gbogbo ohun tó ń lọ nínú South Africa màá mẹ́nu bà nírọ̀lẹ́ yìí. Lára tá à ń sọ náà nìyẹn pé Bloodline àwọn South Africa ní àwọn ò fẹ́ ẹ̀yà kankan nílùú àwọn. Kí ló fà á? Kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀? Kí ni ta ṣe fún South Africa tó le tó yẹn? At least a ti ran South Africa rí. Kí ló wá dé tí South Africa wá tó ń bá wa jà tó yẹn? Gbogbo ẹ̀ náà ni àjọ máa gbé yẹ̀wò. So nígbà tí mo ti ń palẹ̀mọ́ láti sọ anthem, tí bá ti parí anthem, àwa wọnú ètò náà. Mo kíyà mí lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí o. Kọ́lọ́run bá mi forí jìyà náà. Ikú tó mú lọ ní last year November, ó mọ ìdí pàtàkì. Lẹ́yìn ikú ìyá náà kó má dẹ́rù bà wá, kó dúró tì wá. Mo wá kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin grandma àtẹ̀yin bàbá tí ẹ máa ń pè lẹ́yìn. Iṣẹ́ náà la wà lẹ́nu ẹ̀ yìí. Ẹni tó ń béèrè pé iṣẹ́ ń kọ́, iṣẹ́ náà ni ẹ̀wọ̀n káwọ̀ níṣẹ́ méjì. Iṣẹ́ ta gbà láàyò náà ni mo kí bàbá wa Ọláwálé Ọlá, mo kí Ahmed Abdullateef, mo kí Prince Adéwùnmí, mo kí ìyàwó Bọ́lá Nelson, mo kí ẹ̀yin tí ẹ ti ń wọlé lórí Instagram, mo kí Abiola Ọláníyàn, mo kí gbogbo àwọn Ọláníyàn family, mo kí àwọn family mi náà. Bàbá wa Adéyẹmí Joshua, mo kí yín, mo kí wòlíì, mo kí babaláwo, mo kí oníṣègùn, mo kí àwọn gbòógì àfà, torí àṣẹ láwọn àfà tó jẹ́ Yorùbá tó dá, mo kí wọn dáadáa. So on that note, I will run the program going forward now. Iṣẹ́ wa fúnlẹ̀ wa, forílẹ̀ ibi wa, kàgbéga, kàgbéga, kàgbéga fàlérí. Ìgbàgbọ́ wa ni pé bá ti bẹ̀rù làbọ̀ mọ́, ká ṣiṣẹ́, ká ṣiṣẹ́, ká ṣiṣẹ́, ká jọlá. Ìṣọ̀kan àtòmìnira ní kẹ́jẹ́ ká máa lépa. Ìtẹ̀síwájú fọ̀pọ̀ ire àtòhun tó dára. Ọmọ Oòduà dìde, bọ́ sípò ẹ̀tọ́ rẹ. Ìwọ ni ìmọ́lẹ̀ ògo adúláwọ̀. Àwa ni ìmọ́lẹ̀ ògo adúláwọ̀. I'm gonna get a new mic, and that way then I can use more of my software. So ìdí tí sound yẹn lè to be a little bit ó máa balance níbí kan, ó lè má balance níbí kan. On Facebook the sound might not be as perfect because iPad ni mo ń lò. So if my sound is a little bit low, màá gbìyànjú láti increase the volume voice tèmi. So tẹ́ bá wá ń gbọ́ mi nísìn, nígbà tí ilẹ̀ ò tí ṣú, mo lè gbóhùn sókè díẹ̀. Ẹ jẹ́ kí n mọ̀ nínú comment section. Mo kí Martins, mo kí gbogbo àwọn Koikimedia team, mo kí àwọn ti ìlú Ṣakí, bàbá wa Adélékè, ẹ bá mi kí gbogbo àwọn wòlíì. Mo kí bàbá mi Lánre, ẹ kú rọ̀lẹ́ o, ẹ ṣé gan ni. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni, that is our own national anthem. Gani Olóyèdè mo rí ẹ ń bẹ̀, ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà lórí TikTok. Èmi ní problem. Jaiye TV, brother mi, ṣàlàfíà ló wà. Báwo ni gbogbo ẹ̀? Nígbà míì tá bá fẹ́ ṣe program, àwa náà máa wò pé kí ni ká tẹ̀ wá sọ. A máa béèrè lọ́wọ́ àwọn tájọ jẹ́ team pé kí ni tí àwa fẹ́ sọ fáwọn èèyàn wa lénìí. There's a lot, tá lè sọ. Interface pọ̀, ẹ ṣé gan ni bàbá wa Lánre. Interlace pọ̀ gan because mẹ́wàá ń ṣẹlẹ̀. Mo kí ẹ Ọlámilékan, mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin tí ẹ ti ń wọnú ètò náà. Ẹ comment, ẹ share, ẹ power tap, ẹ dẹ̀ support iléeṣẹ́ wa. kẹ̀dẹ̀ fàdúrà kẹ́ máa fi ràn wá lọ́wọ́ kí iléeṣẹ́ náà lè gbòòrò sí i. Mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ̀ ń bẹ nílé. Nǹkan le díẹ̀ ní Nàìjíríà àfẹn tó bá ń parọ́ fúnra wọn. Mo kí Mr. Olayinka 22. We have good numbers of followers every day, and also we appreciate every single one of you. Mo kí yín ní Ìbàdàn, mo kí wọn ní Ìjẹ̀bú Òde, mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin tí ẹ̀ ń bẹ ní àkìrí àtẹ̀yin tí ẹ jẹ́ diaspora. Bloodline, kí ló ń pè bẹ́ẹ̀? Tá bá ní bloodline, kí ni nǹkan tó jẹ́ Yorùbá pronunciation ẹ̀? Bloodline. Tá bá fẹ́ kí ilẹ̀ Yorùbá, ilẹ̀ Káàárọ̀ Oòjíire, ilẹ̀ Oòduà ká sì jẹ́ kó wà bó ṣe wà, kí ni nǹkan tí ó jẹ́ gbòógì tí a gbọ́dọ̀ ṣe? A máa gbọ́ pé ẹ̀yà kan wà, gbogbo ẹ̀yà náà ni o, but àwọn ẹ̀yà kan tí wá wà débi pé in táwọn fi ṣe, mo kí bàbá wa Rashid, mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin àgbàlagbà. I am not recording, so I will be able to, along the line, just appreciate you. Àwọn team wa, they will continue to post all the links. Mo dẹ̀ rí pé wọ́n ti ń post ẹ̀. Ẹ túbọ̀ bá wa gbé gbogbo links ẹ̀ pátá àti TikTok àti Twitter. Wọ́n ń pè ní Twitter mọ́, but X ni wọ́n ń pè. Ẹ bá wa tètè kó jáde. Iṣẹ́ tẹ̀yin máa kọ́kọ́ ṣe nìyẹn. Ẹ̀yin kọ́ lẹ máa jókòó sínú ètò. Ẹ̀yin ni kẹ́ copy link kẹ́ gbé lọ straight, because mo rí pé ẹ tí ì gbé gbogbo link yẹn jáde tán. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́, ó wà important. Ẹ̀yin staff wa. Ẹ jẹ́ ká kọ́kọ́ gbọ́ bí Àrólé 1010. Mo send message sí lánàá pé mo gbọ́ audio kan tí wọ́n ṣe jáde láti South Africa nípa rògbòdìyàn tó ń lọ níbẹ̀. But ẹni tó bá mọ meaning bloodline ní Yorùbá, ẹ bá mi fi sínú comment section. Please bring more people in, especially ọmọ Yorùbá, ọmọ Oòduà. Torí ó ní nǹkan tá a fẹ́ bára wa sọ. Torí èní kọ́, torí ọ̀la ni. Torí tí a bá fi sílẹ̀ tá a sọ̀rọ̀ lé lórí, ó ṣeé ṣe kí ọ̀la kó jẹ́ problem fún wa. So ká má bàa ní problem ní ọ̀la ni a ṣe ń sọ pé káwọn èèyàn wa mọ ìyàtọ̀ láàárín àwọn nǹkan kan tí ó jẹ́ ká mọ̀. Gbogbo nǹkan náà ni gbogbo wa mọ̀. But bí a ti ṣe mọ̀, èyí táwọn èèyàn fẹ́ gbọ́ nígbà míì, òun kọ́ ni àwa fẹ́ sọ níbí báyìí. Ànígbà táwa ò dẹ̀ ń ṣe fracas, a dẹ̀ ń ṣe blogger, àwa máa sọ àwọn nǹkan tí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn èèyàn máa gbọ́ nísìn tọ́dẹ̀ máa mọ̀ pé lọ́jọ́ iwájú ó gbọ́dọ̀ ní impact ní ilẹ̀ Yorùbá àti àwa ọmọ Káàárọ̀ Oòjíire. Mo kí bàbá wa Ọláwálé. Ẹ jẹ́ a gbọ́ audio tí, bí mo ṣe sọ, tí bàbá wa Àrólé 1010 tí wọ́n fi ṣọwọ́ sí mi ní àná.
Mo kí gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá nílé àti lókè òkun. Àrólé bàbá 1010 fans club, mo kí wa, a kú dédé àsìkò yìí o. Oòduà gbé wa, kò ní gbé ọ̀dàlẹ̀, lágbára Elédùmarè. Ẹ̀yin ènìyàn mi, mo ní kí n ṣàlàyé lórí ohun tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ ní ìlú South Africa lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ báyìí. Ẹ wo, wàhálà ńlá ó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ bá ṣe ń bá yín sọ̀rọ̀ yìí o. Olóko ò lè roko, olódò ò lè rodò. Gbogbo ẹ̀ ó fọ́jú pọ̀. Àwọn ọmọ nílùú ni wọn ò fẹ́ àwọn àlejò nílùú wọn mọ́ o. Ọ̀sẹ̀ yìí báyìí ló máa pé ọ̀sẹ̀ kejì tó ń lọ sí bí ọ̀sẹ̀ kẹta gan báyìí tí a ti lọ bí iṣẹ́ tá a ti lè ṣiṣẹ́. Gbogbo ṣọ́ọ̀bù pátápátá ni wọ́n ti pa. Tó bá ní any shop tó open tó rí pé àlejò ni, wọ́n á bọ́ síbẹ̀, wọ́n á lùtì gbogbo ṣọ́ọ̀bù yẹn, wọ́n wá lu àlejò yẹn bíi pé kókú. Fídíò ilé tí mo jù wọlé yìí tí ẹ̀ ń wò rí yìí, ọmọ Pakistan tẹ́ ẹ̀ wò nílẹ̀ yìí, wọ́n ti jẹ́ kó yé wa láàárọ̀ ẹ̀ báyìí pé ó ti gbẹ́mìí mì, pé ó ti kú, torí wọ́n gún lọ́bẹ lọ́fun ni lélẹ̀ tí ó sùn sílẹ̀ tẹ́ ẹ̀ wò yìí. wọ́n gún ní ọ̀bẹ lọ́fun ni wọ́n dẹ̀ ti report bó ti kú ọmọ Nàìjíríà 3 ni wọ́n ti pa o ni wọ́n ti pa nínú xenophobic attack tó ń lọ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ ní South Africa o ó máa lọlẹ̀ every day ó ń peléke sí ni o a nílò ìrànlọ́wọ́ nílùú South Africa bí o gbogbo ọmọ Oòduà ẹ jọ̀wọ́ ẹ bá mi share voice note yìí kó dọ́dọ̀ àwọn ìjọba wa o àwa tá a dẹ̀ tó gbìyànjú tá a tó submit application tá a tó ṣe pípa láti pé ká tẹ̀ fi orílẹ̀-èdè sílẹ̀ pálí wa àrígbà tá a bá pè wá ní kò sí booklet pé láti Nàìjíríà náà ti ń ṣe wá láti Nàìjíríà náà ti tán ni wọ́n ti ń tan nẹ́tíwọ́ọ̀kì wọn pé wọn ò ṣe passport ní South Africa mọ́ so fún díẹ̀ yìí ó wá le kókókó fún wa láti rí pálí gbà láwa gan ta tún decide pé ká tiẹ̀ fi lu wọn ńlẹ̀ lóòótọ́ torí ohun táwọn South Africa ń ṣe fún wa náà ni pé ńgbà tá a bá ti ráyè lọ síbi iṣẹ́ tá a ráyè ṣiṣẹ́ tá a ráyè ṣí ṣọ́ọ̀bù báwo la ṣe fẹ́ sanwó ilé báwo la ṣe fẹ́ jẹun báwo la ṣe fẹ́ tọ́jú àwọn ọmọ wa school náà kọ́kọ́ àtáàkì tẹ́lẹ̀ nígbà tó kọ́kọ́ tó ń àtáàkì school gbogbo ọmọ fọ́rínà wọn náà fẹ́ lé wọn níwèé wọn náà fẹ́ lé gbogbo wọn dànù bẹ̀tí nígbà tó wá ṣe àwọn ọmọ tiwọn náà bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní shock látàrí pé bọ́n ṣe ń yin tear gas bọ́n ṣe ń ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀ because wọ́n fẹ́ lu ọmọ kan lù yá ni àwọn guys tó ń pè ní mash yẹn dùdúlà tí wọ́n ń ṣe ní àwọn school tí wọ́n ń lọ ṣùgbọ́n nígbà tó wá dé pé àwọn ọmọ wọn bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní shock àwọn náà ò lè lọ school mọ́ wàhálà wá dé bá wọn so ni wọ́n fi rìpọ́ọ̀tù yẹn fún ìjọba lẹ́sẹ̀kẹsẹ̀ ni wọ́n dá yẹn dúró ṣùgbọ́n ńgbà tó wá máa gbọ́ wọ́n wá jẹ́ kó yé wa pé ṣe bí bàbá ń ṣiṣẹ́ ìyá ń ṣiṣẹ́ ni wọ́n fi ráyè rán ọmọ ní skul tí ìyá ò bá ṣiṣẹ́ mọ́ tí bàbá ò bá ṣiṣẹ́ mọ́ báwo lọmọ ṣe máa lọ sí skul báwo náà ṣe máa sanwó ilé báwo ni wọ́n ṣe máa jẹun bí wọ́n tún ṣe bẹ̀rẹ̀ eléyìí o tó wá ní gbogbo ṣọ́ọ̀bù báyìí títì ni àwọn ọmọ Ethiopia nígbà tí wọ́n jáde ní àná òde yìí tí wọ́n jáde síta tí wọ́n fẹ́ di tán fẹ́ da kóńdó da kù mọ́ gbogbo àwọn tó open shop àwọn yẹn jáde lọ́pọ̀ wọ́n kóra wọn jọ wọ́n ṣe bíi pé kí àwọn náà wọ́n ṣe bíi pé kí àtàkì wọ́n lé wọn léré wọ́n ṣe ṣùgbọ́n lé ní báyìí in fact any foreigner ò lè dúró rárá kọ́ra àwọn tó wà lókè ni wọ́n ju gìlù tí wọ́n lù lálùbami so wàhálà yẹn lọ́wọ́ báyìí so fún díẹ̀ yìí ẹ̀yin ènìyàn wa mo bẹ̀ yín ni èmi ọmọ yín Àrólé ni mò ń sọ̀rọ̀ mo bẹ̀ yín ni ẹ bá mi share voice note yìí lọ́dọ̀ àwọn olórí wa àwọn ìjọba wa torí pé àwọn South Africa kódà níbi tó tún ṣe dé tó tún láyàdé wọ́n tún jẹ́ kó yí wa pé wọ́n máa pa gbogbo àwa Nàìjíríà tán nílùú ìpé ìjọba wo ò ní dáhùn sí wa pé ìjọba wo ò tiẹ̀ ní dáhùn pé wọn ò rí tiwa rò pé wọ́n máa pa wá síbí ni ká padà sí ìlú wa káwa náà lọ fèsì gọ́fìmẹ̀ntì wa àwọn ò tiẹ̀ fẹ́ rí wa mọ́ so ibi tó wá lágbára sí gan any black tó bá ti rí báyìí Nàìjíríà ni wọ́n ń fèsì wa wọ́n àtàkì wa ní everywhere every angle ni wọ́n ti àtàkì wa wọ́n já ṣiṣẹ́ o gbogbo ọmọ Oòduà ní gbogbo ibi tẹ́ ẹ bá wà ẹ gbà wá ní South Africa o ẹ gbà wá ní South Africa ẹ ṣàánú wa o wàhálà yẹn ṣẹlẹ̀ gan àti jẹ àti mu àti jẹ àti mu ọwọ́ Ọlọ́run ló wà báyìí o a lè ṣiṣẹ́ o gbogbo nǹkan tí mo dẹ̀ ń sọ yìí pátápátá lẹ́yìn èèyàn wa ẹ lè lọ Google ẹ o ẹ lè lọ sórí WhatsApp ẹ lè lọ sórí TikTok ẹ lè lọ sórí Facebook gbogbo nǹkan tí mo sọ yìí ló wà bẹ́ẹ̀ pátápátá o ní dọ́bẹ̀n lọ́dọ̀ tèmi dọ́bẹ̀n lèmi ọmọ Àrólé wa o dọ́bẹ̀n lọ́dọ̀ tèmi ibi tí ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ gan tán ti ń ṣẹlẹ̀ torí ìgboro lèmi náà wà so gbogbo ìgboro náà la dẹ̀ ti ń ṣiṣẹ́ wọn ò jẹ́ ká ṣiṣẹ́ o gbogbo àwọn tó wà ní tó even tí ò tiẹ̀ ń ṣe ta gan-an ṣí ṣọ́ọ̀bù sí tó yẹ pé inú ní ọ́fíìsì wọn wà wọ́n lọ ń bá wọn níbẹ̀ lára wọn náà fúnra wọn ní information pé àlejò ló níbí àlejò ló wà ń bẹ̀ yẹn gbogbo ibẹ̀ náà dẹ̀ ń yà Nàìjíríà ló wà ń bí ibi tó bá tiẹ̀ ti gbọ́ pé Nàìjíríà báyìí wọ́n á make sure pé wọ́n fẹ́ jẹ bẹ̀ yẹn run ni kọ́ make sure pé ọmọ Nàìjíríà yẹn ò padà wá bẹ̀ yẹn mọ́ nǹkan tó máa ṣe síbẹ̀ nìyẹn so ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ bá wa send voice note sáwọn aláṣẹ wa lóòótọ́ ni wọ́n sọ pé wọ́n pé ìjọba Nàìjíríà ò lè dáhùn sí wa ṣùgbọ́n àwa mọ̀ pé àwọn ọmọ Oòduà wa tó bẹ nínú ìjọba wọ́n á dáhùn sí wa ẹjọ́ ẹ bá share voice note yìí ìlú ò fararọ a lè jáde a lè ṣiṣẹ́ àwa tá a ní pàmìtì even pàmìtì tíyàwó mi fi ṣiṣẹ́ wọ́n ní láti gbà lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ wọ́n pa ojú ẹ̀ rẹ̀ ń bẹ̀ pé wọn ò fẹ́ rí wọ́n pa ojú ẹ̀ rẹ̀ pé wọn ò fẹ́ rí wọn ò dẹ̀ fẹ́ rí níbi tó ti ń ṣiṣẹ́ yẹn mọ́ so pé à ń gbaṣẹ́ ọmọ ìlú wọn pé ọmọ ìlú wọn sì náà fẹ́ kó ṣiṣẹ́ ń bẹ̀ so a lè ṣiṣẹ́ a lè ṣe anything gbogbo nǹkan dàrú o ẹ jọ̀ọ́ bá a ṣe nílò ìrànlọ́wọ́ la nílò àdúrà gbogbo nǹkan a nílò ìrànlọ́wọ́ ìjọba ẹ jọ̀ọ́ kí wá ṣe fẹ́mi nìkan fún gbogbo ọmọ Oòduà tó wà ní mo gbẹnu gbogbo ọmọ Oòduà tí àjọ wà ń bí sọ̀rọ̀ ni o ní ọjọ́ Sunday nínú àwọn èèyàn wa ilé ọ̀dọ̀ mi ni wọ́n wá sí tó ń bẹ̀ mí pé bàbá àròlé àmọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe jẹ́ ẹ ràn wá lọ́wọ́ ẹ bá wa pe gbogbo àgbáyé ẹ bá wa ké ẹ bá wa pariwo gbogbo wàhálà yìí ti pọ̀ jù ẹ jọ̀ọ́ mo wá ń fi àkókò yìí náà sọ fún gbogbo ilé pé ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ ṣàánú wa wàhálà ń ṣẹlẹ̀ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ ilé ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kejì tí mo máa ṣe irú voice note bí ilé jáde èní àgbà pé èní ó tún máa bẹ́tà èní ló tún wá worst jù tó yẹ pé gbogbo àwọn àlejò báyìí gbogbo àwọn tó ti wà nígboro tán wò pé bóyá kò ní ṣẹlẹ̀ kan lè ṣíṣọ́ kan lè ráyè sanwó lè jẹun ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀ wọ́n tún sá eré padà sí léni so in fact èní ìtẹ̀tù wá worst lójú èní wá worst wọ́n wá jáde pé ní foreigner tó bá rí wọ́n máa pa ni tọ̀bẹ tigitigi àpólà igi gbogbo ló wà lọ́wọ́ wọn so fídíò yẹn lélẹ̀ tí mo send sínú léyìí mo rọ̀ wá a nílò àdúrà o eléyìí ò ń ṣe ṣeré ó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ gidi gan ni o ó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ ọmọ tẹ ní voice note tí mo ṣe ní àná mo sọ síbẹ̀ pé ọmọ Yorùbá kan ó dé ó wá ṣe nǹkan kan ní bíbáyìí ọjọ́ mẹ́ta péré kì í ṣe visa tó gbàgbọ́ kì í ṣe visa olóṣù kan ó kàn fẹ́ wá ṣe nǹkan South Africa ní láti fi sí wọ́n jèlì wọ́n fi sátìmọ́lé látàrí pé wọn ò fẹ́ rí Nàìjíríà wọ́n jẹ́ kí visa yẹn expire nínú jẹ́ẹ̀lì yẹn níbi tó ń fi sí yẹn aláàárọ̀ yìí ni tíṣà ọmọ mi léṣẹ̀ wá pè mí pé ẹni yẹn ti padà sílé ó pa value flight ló gba padà sílé inú ẹ̀wọ̀n ẹni tó wá láti ilé tí ò sun ẹ̀wọ̀n tó sun ẹ̀wọ̀n fọjọ́ méjì ọlọ́jẹ́ kẹta tí pálí expire lọ́sẹ̀ tó dá padà sílé ṣẹ́yìn náà ti rí bẹ́yẹn wọ́n dẹ̀ fún wọn ní visa lọ́hùn láti wọlé síbí that means gbígbà tán pé wọ́n gbé wa ní ìgògó náà nìyẹn ẹ gba visa fúnra yín náà lẹ́ tó máa padà àbí ká tó fojú yín rí kẹ́ tó lọ so gbogbo nǹkan tá à ń fèsì ní South Africa nìyẹn o gbogbo nǹkan tá à ń face ẹni tó náwó wá báyìí nígbà tí tíṣà yẹn máa sọ fún mi almost 800,000 lẹ́ni yẹn ná lórí visa kó tó di pé ó wọlé ṣùgbọ́n wọn ò jórí nǹkan tó wá ṣe yẹn wọn ò jórí ṣe wọn tó dá padà sílé ó tún ṣẹ̀wọ̀n ó tún padà sílé ni so ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ ràn wá lọ́wọ́ mo ń pe gbogbo ọmọ Oòduà nílé àti lókè òkun wàhálà yẹn ṣẹlẹ̀ ó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ gidi gan ni o wàhálà yẹn ṣẹlẹ̀ tó bá dẹ̀ jẹ́ pé bọ́n bá tiẹ̀ mú yàn pé kọ́ dìpọ́ọ̀tù èèyàn wọn ní dìpọ́ọ̀tù èèyàn o pé eléyìí tó ń sọ ká padà sílé yẹn kì í ṣe pé àwọn máa mú wa tó máa sọ pé ó yà wà value flight ilé ẹ̀ máa bá lọ ẹ̀wọ̀n náà máa kọ́ ẹnìyẹn lọ ẹnìyẹn máa kọ̀ wá ń bẹ̀ wọ́n máa bá dán ẹ̀ síbẹ̀ ni o so bọ́n ṣe ń ṣe níbí nìyẹn o ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ bá wa pariwo síta gbogbo ọmọ Oòduà nílé lóko ẹ bá wa pariwo síta torí pé wàhálà yẹn ó túbọ̀ lágbára sí i lójoojúmọ́ ni o lẹ́ni báyìí mo ti gba ìpè káàkiri gbogbo àwọn ọmọ Oòduà wa tájọ wà bí ni wọ́n ti ń pè mí látàárọ̀ tó fóònù mi ò sí mi bàbá àròlé báwo ni so ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ bá wa pariwo ẹ bá wa send voice note káàkiri mo bẹ̀ wá ni ẹ ṣé mo dúpẹ́ o Oòduà gbè wá o kò ní gbé ọ̀dàlẹ̀ a ò ní ti àjò gbésájò o gbogbo apátápátá la máa délé wa o ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ bá wa pariwo sí ìjọba wa kó wá ràn wá lọ́wọ́ níbí o wọ́n ní wọ́n gbé plane sílẹ̀ pé wọ́n gbé plane ọ̀fẹ́ sílẹ̀ gbogbo àwọn èèyàn tí mo ní wọ́n wá sílé ọ̀dọ̀ mi ní ọjọ́ Sunday gbogbo wọn náà ni wọ́n wá tán wá báwo ló ṣe ń lọ bàbá mo send gbogbo ẹ̀ sí wọn pé kán fìlì ẹ̀ wọ́n fìlì ẹ̀ gbà tá a máa padà rí orí TikTok láti rí àwọn ọmọ South Africa tó bẹ̀ sí fi wá ṣe yẹ̀yẹ́ pé ìjọba wa tún fèkì wa pé wọ́n ní wọ́n gbé plane sílẹ̀ pé àwọn máa pa wá sílùú iṣẹ́ pé àwọn mọ̀ pé wọn ìjọba wo kò lè dáhùn sí wa so ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ ràn wá lọ́wọ́ o ẹ̀yin ọmọ Oòduà ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ jẹ́wọ́ ọmọ ọkọ o ẹ ràn wá lọ́wọ́ nílùú yìí o ẹ ràn wá lọ́wọ́ o wàhálà gidi wàhálà wà ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ ràn wá lọ́wọ́ o ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ ràn wá lọ́wọ́ ẹ ṣé mo dúpẹ́ o.
mo kí great coat ẹ ṣé fún gift great light coat thank you so much for the gift thank you so much everyone that have joined us on TikTok thank you for everyone that have listened. Lagos for sure, but what is South Africa police doing about the people with guns, knife, and killing people? That takes us back to the conversation Tamuwa nírọ̀lẹ́. Tí a bá wo àkọlé ètò tí mo mú wá, mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ brother wa Ọlámilékan. Wọ́n ní ìtàn pè ní bloodline. Òun náà ni ìran wa. Ìran ọmọ Yorùbá. Báwo la ṣe lè preserve ìran wa? Báwo la ṣe lè ṣe tí ìran wa ò ní parun? kí làwọn ìgbésẹ̀ tó yẹ ká máa gbé nísìn. Mo kí bàbá wa Babátúndé Ọlátúnjí, àwọn ní Kóìkì ibi táwọn tún gbà wọlé, wọ́n ní ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ jẹ́ ká tètè pariwo síta o against the planned military base in the coastal areas of Nigeria. Torí pé a gbọ́ pé àwọn Turkey ń bọ̀ wá set up military base sínú Nigeria. Ti Amẹ́ríkà àmọ́bi tó fìdí sí. But ibi tí a fẹ́ lọ nírọ̀lẹ́ yìí, gẹ́gẹ́ bí mo ti ṣe sọ pé wákàtí kan náà ni, torí aago 8 a máa parí ètò yìí, torí àwọn ìpàdé tí a tún ní pẹ̀lú àwọn ẹgbẹ́ tí a jọ wà. Torí bàbá tó bí èmi ó wà nú ẹgbẹ́ tó fi jáde láyé ni. So you must be in a group, you must be in an organization, or you must be in this kind of, platform and many other like that. Bloodline. The topic I'm discussing this evening. Importance of bloodline. Pàtàkì ìran káàárọ̀ oòjíire, ìran ọmọ Yorùbá. Bloodline, ìran wa. Báwo la ṣe lè ṣe tí ìran wa tí kò ní parun? Kí làwọn nǹkan tá a máa ṣe? Kí làwọn ìgbésẹ̀ tá a gbọ́dọ̀ máa gbé? Gbogbo wa là ń gbọ́ oríṣiríṣi lọ́tún lósì. Ọba ti lọ ṣe Fúlàní, ó gbé Fúlàní sílé, wọ́n fẹ́ Fúlàní. Ǹjẹ́ lọ́jọ́ iwájú ọmọ Ìgbò ní sọ pé òun fẹ́ jẹ ọba lÉkòó? Ǹjẹ́ àtẹ̀ ń rò bẹ́ẹ̀? Nígbà tí gbogbo wa náà bá dàgbà ta dògbó, tọmọ Ìgbò bá wá dìde pé òun náà máa jẹ ọba lÉkòó, torí arípọ́ba tí wọ́n jẹ ní South Africa ó dá wàhálà sílẹ̀ lára tí bàbá rẹ̀ ó lè fi ránṣẹ́ sí wa. Torí tá a bá rántí pé àwọn ọmọ Ìgbò ó náà máa jẹ ọba ní South Africa, ó fa sùrùtù. Ǹjẹ́ àtẹ̀ ń rò pé tó bá dọjọ́ iwájú Fúlàní lè máa bá wa contest fún àwọn máa jẹ ọba Aláàfin ilẹ̀ Yorùbá? Ǹjẹ́ àtẹ̀ ń rò? Ǹjẹ́ àtẹ̀ ń rò pé tó bá dọjọ́ iwájú ọmọ Haúsá lè ní òun máa jẹ ọba Ilé-Ifẹ̀? Ǹjẹ́ àtẹ̀ ń rò? Ǹjẹ́ àtẹ̀ jókòó níjọ́ kan ká tẹ̀ rò pé tó bá dọjọ́ iwájú ọmọ Fúlàní á máa ní òun àti ọmọ Yorùbá kọ́ wo ẹni táwọn máa mú tó máa jẹ Àwùjalẹ̀ of Ìjẹ̀bú? Ṣèbátẹ̀ ṣì ń sọ pé Wàsíù la fẹ́, àfẹ́ Wàsíù, àbí? Ṣé àmọ̀ pé ọmọ Yorùbá ní bàbá wa Wàsíù Àyìndé Marshal? Ṣé àmọ̀ pé yẹn ṣe sọ pé ọmọ Yorùbá ni? Ǹjẹ́ tó bá dọjọ́ iwájú tí wọ́n bá ní kó bá mú ọba jáde tí ọmọ Fúlàní tó wà láàrin wọn ní òun ti ń gbé níbí báyìí gẹ́gẹ́ bí Saliu ní Ìgàngàn, ó náà ti wà níbí báyìí for 43 years. Ibi báyìí làwọn bàbá àwọn tọ́tẹ̀lẹ̀ dè sí. Àbí báwo ló ṣe ń sọ Yorùbá yẹn? Ẹ mọ̀ pé Yorùbá tèmi kò lọ dáadáa nígbà míì. Ṣé rántí pé èdè tí Saliu tí bàbá wa Ìgbòho lọ ṣí, kò ń ṣe pé ó ṣígun lọ́ba o, ó ṣí ẹsẹ̀ kúrò ní Ìgàngàn. Ó wà lára tó sọ pé 43 years ni àwọn bàbá àwọn àti bàbá àwọn tí ń gbé níbí báyìí. Ta ni wọ́n mọ̀ yìí? Ìwọ tó kọlà yìí. Èmi ò kọlà lóòótọ́, èmi ò kọlà, àmọ́ àwọn bàbá mi ni wọ́n tẹ̀lé bíbá ìdó. Tí a bá rántí fídíò kan jáde tí panel gidi ni mò ń sọ yìí o. Fídíò yẹn kò wà ní sàkání mi tí mo lè fi ṣe analysis, but tá bá wá àmújáde nígbà tá bá tún padà wá. Tí àwọn ẹ̀yà kan tó ń pè ní Fúlàní tí wọ́n ń sọ pé àwọn làwọn ni, ẹni tó bá rántí ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn ẹ lè direct mi dáadáa kí n lè mú jáde. It was a panel discussion nínú court ni o. Tọ́ ní àwọn làwọn nílẹ̀ yẹn, I think it's between Ogun State. Ta ló rántí that particular discussion? Ta ló ti bá fídíò yẹn pàdé rí? Mo kẹ́yìn yan wa. Ǹjẹ́ bí mo ṣe lọ sí ọ̀dọ̀ bàbá wa Déjì of Àkúrẹ́, mo ṣí fìlà fún gbogbo àwọn ọba, mo kí yín kábíyèsí lọ́tún lósì. Ṣó wá dá kí ọjọ́ iwájú kí Fúlàní máa bá wa du Déjì of Àkúrẹ́? Kọ́ máa sọ fún wa pé Ifá ló yan àwọn náà síbẹ̀. Ìjà tẹ̀ ń rò bloodline. kí wá àwọn ìgbésẹ̀ tí ọmọ Yorùbá àwọn ọmọ káàárọ̀ òjíire ta gbọ́dọ̀ máa bára wa sọ̀rọ̀ lé lórí so that irú àwọn nǹkan báyìí kò ní ṣẹlẹ̀ lọ́jọ́ iwájú. Torí àpẹẹrẹ fi ń hàn pé bí nǹkan ṣe ń lọ lójoojúmọ́ nínú ìlú tí gbogbo àjọ wà tí à ń pè ní Nàìjíríà tí President Bọ́lá Tinubu ń darí ẹ̀ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ tí wọ́n dẹ̀ ń wá gbogbo ọ̀nà. Mo kí bàbá wa Prince Adébáyọ̀ Ṣítù. Gbogbo ọ̀nà pátá ni wọ́n ń wá láti fi ṣígun fún President Bọ́lá Tinubu kúrò lórí oyè yẹn. Olú SAN mo kí yín ẹ kúrọ̀lẹ́, mo kẹ́yìn tèmi lórí TikTok. Bí ẹ bá share sórí, èmi náà wà lórí platform kan ní ọ̀sán yìí lọ́dọ̀ bàbá wa kan, mo share lọ sórí profile mi. Intel lè ṣe fún wa náà nìyẹn. Torí ọ̀rọ̀ ìran wa là ń sọ̀rọ̀ ẹ̀, kò ń ṣe ọ̀rọ̀ ilẹ̀ Jẹ̀bú Òde nìkan ni mo mú wá bá yín tí mo lè sọ pé Koiki ó ṣe jẹ́ Jẹ̀bú Òde nìkan ló ń sọ̀rọ̀ lé lórí. Mo ń sọ̀rọ̀ nípa Kogi, mo ń sọ̀rọ̀ nípa Kwara, mo ń sọ̀rọ̀ nípa Èkìtì, Oǹdó, Ọ̀ṣun, Ọ̀yọ́, Ògùn, Lagos, Èkìtì. Ní àárín gbogbo wa tí a jọ wà nínú platform tí ẹ̀ ń gbọ́ mi, tí ẹ̀ ń wò mí, tẹ́tí mi kán sí lára yìí, ó ṣeé ṣe pé ẹ gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́ ìkànnú àwọn ọmọ ìlú yẹn àbí àwọn ọmọ yín tí ẹ bí sílùú òyìnbó fáwọn diaspora ọmọ state kan ni wọ́n. So kò sẹ́ni tí ọ̀rọ̀ yìí ò bá wí. Bó ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ mi wí náà ló bá wọ wí. Kí ni ìgbésẹ̀ tí ọmọ Yorùbá ọmọ káàárọ̀ òjíire, kí làwọn ìgbésẹ̀ tó yẹ ká bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí í sọ̀rọ̀ lé lórí, ká máa dialogue. Nígbà míì a lè sọ̀rọ̀ economy, a lè sọ̀rọ̀ politics, a lè sọ̀rọ̀ insecurity, but báwo la ṣe fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ ìran wa bloodline tí kò ní mú wàhálà dání lọ́jọ́ iwájú fún ìran wa. Torí a ti rí táwọn ọmọ Yíbò sọ fún wa pé Lagos is not for Yorùbá people, kò ń ṣe ọmọ Yorùbá lónìí. Wọ́n ń challenge wa lórí ẹ̀. Ǹjẹ́ àwọn ẹ̀yà bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ́jọ́ iwájú, ǹjẹ́ wọ́n ní gbé wa lọ sí court, International Court of World Court? Sórí court oríṣiríṣi ló wà láyé. Kọ́ máa sọ fún wa pé apá báyìí, ibi báyìí àwọn làwọn ní. Mo kí bàbá wa Dani Ọlábísí, mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin ti Badagry, Ìbẹ̀jú Lẹ́kì, mo kí yín. Mo kí gbogbo wa ní gbogbo local government wa nílẹ̀ káàárọ̀ òjíire. Ǹjẹ́ ti gbọ́ wọ́n release owó fún local government àtàwọn state governor? Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni owó ti jáde látòkè ní federal. Báwo ni wọ́n ṣe ń fowó yẹn ṣe nǹkan dáadáa sílẹ̀ Yorùbá ní south west tẹ́bi òfin nípa wá? Koikimedia bringing the world closer to your doorsteps. Àwa á máa pariwo tiwa, à á máa gbé jáde, à á máa sọ. Ó wá kù sẹ́yìn àtèmi lọ́wọ́ kólúkálukú lọ tún ibi tó yẹ kó tún ṣe ní àyíká tiẹ̀, kí àwọn ajagunbalẹ̀ kó má bàa gbé ìran wa lọ síbi tá a fẹ́. Ṣé mọ̀ pé a wo fídíò kan tí wọ́n máa ní they dey carry me go where I no know. Ọbẹ̀ Elédùmarè ò ní jẹ́ kí wọ́n carry wa go ibi tá a fẹ́ lọ. Kò ní kankan ṣe pẹ̀lú ẹ̀sìn tó gbé dání. Ọ̀rọ̀ ìran wa kò ní kankan ṣe pẹ̀lú religion ẹ. We are talking about our own bloodline. Tí a bá wo àwọn ọba wa tìlú yìí, wọ́n fẹ́ kí ẹ̀yà míì kó kọlù ìyá tiwọn, wọ́n fẹ́ maintain bloodline yẹn. Mo kí bàbá wa entertainment. Ìbéèrè tẹ́ ń béèrè yẹn, ìbéèrè tí ó dání, àmọ́ ìta ń sọ yìí ó sì pàtẹ́ mọ́ ìbéèrè yẹn. Tẹ́yìn bá sì ń béèrè àwọn ìbéèrè ṣáṣiṣẹ́ Yorùbá nation, á jẹ́ pé ẹ̀yin ni kẹ́ lọ tún ibi tó yẹ kẹ́ tún ṣe lọ́dọ̀ tí yín. A lè máa dá yín lóhùn lójoojúmọ́ pé Yorùbá nation, Yorùbá nation. A dẹ̀ fẹ́ disrespect ọmọ Yorùbá tó ń béèrè àwọn ìbéèrè bẹ́ẹ̀. Ẹ̀yin lẹ mọ tó ń lọ, tẹ́ ẹ̀ bá mọ tó ń lọ, kẹ́ lọ sí àwọn ibi tí wọ́n ti ń ṣètò, kẹ́ lọ wọ àwọn ètò tó ṣe sẹ́yìn. Torí bóyá ibi tẹ́yìn ti ń wá jíjẹ múmu lọ lẹ fi ń béèrè ìbéèrè yẹn. Bọ̀ mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin tí ẹ ti darapọ̀ mọ́ wa. Torí a máa fẹ́ Yorùbá nation, a fẹ́ Yorùbá nation, ó wà lára bloodline ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. Torí nínú Nàìjíríà tá wà, we are being challenged by many other ethnic groups. ojoojúmọ́ ni wọ́n ń challenge ilẹ̀ Yorùbá bí wọ́n ṣe ń ralẹ̀ ni wọ́n expand scope wọn tó bá dọjọ́ iwájú kí ọba Elédùmarè má jẹ́ pé àwọn ilẹ̀ tí a ní tá à ń pè ní forest reserve kó má jẹ́ pé wọ́n ti tà á torí àwọn tó máa tà á fún máa sọ fún yín pé ẹ̀yin kọ́ lẹ́ni ibẹ̀ mọ́. Please thumbs up, share the program. Ní pẹ́ torí mo ní ìpàdé pẹ̀lú àwọn ẹgbẹ́ tí èmi náà wà nínú ẹ̀ tó ń pè ní Ìjẹ̀bú Parapọ̀. Mo kí gbogbo àwọn èèyàn wa. Mo kí olóyè Dr. Sunday Igboho. Ẹ jẹ́ ká wá wo kí làwọn àpẹẹrẹ nǹkan tí a lè rí pé ó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ nílẹ̀ káàárọ̀ oòjíire lénìí lórí ọ̀rọ̀ bloodline. Torí in táwọn ẹ̀yà kan ń ṣe ni pé wọ́n fẹ́ infiltrate wa dáadáa so that tó bá ti infiltrate yín dáadáa tán àwọn á wá jáde tán láti fi jẹ gàba lé wa lórí. Ọba Elédùmarè ò ní fún wọn ṣe. Gbogbo ẹni tó bá dẹ̀ ń pètò pé ilẹ̀ káàárọ̀ oòjíire àwa ta ní ìran yìí tí ọba tó ní wá fún wa ní ìran yìí báwọn máa parẹ́ wọn ò ní gbóhùn wa mọ́ àwọn máa gbalẹ̀ wa ni àwọn máa ṣe gbogbo ohun tí àwa ọmọ Oòduà àwa ọmọ káàárọ̀ oòjíire àwa ọmọ Yorùbá èyíkéyìí tí ẹ bá fẹ́ pé wọn ò ní gbóhùn wa mọ́. Ọba Elédùmarè ò ní fún yín ṣe. Torí ọ̀rọ̀ tó wà ńlẹ̀ yìí fight to finish ni bọ̀ kò ń ṣe gbogbo nǹkan ni a máa lo ìbọn a máa fi education fi educate ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn èèyàn wa. Mo kí bàbá wa Yẹmí lórí TikTok. Mo kẹ́yìn tẹ́ wà ní London. Àdúpẹ́ pé weather wa ti fine. Ìyẹn ni Omitaf Couture ara àwọn nǹkan tá a máa wọ̀ nígbà tí a bá ti ń jáde tá a fi ṣeré lọ sí Central London àbí a ní ìpàdé. Ẹni tó bá mọ Omitaf Couture àwọn ni wọ́n rán eléyìí tí tọ̀dọ̀ tèmi lélẹ̀ wọ́n rán sí yín lára. Let's look at the bloodline according to the AI overview. A bloodline refers to direct ancestral lineage or pedigree of human or animal representing the shared genetic characteristics passed down through generations. Mo kí ìyá wa Caroline. Gbogbo ẹ̀yin grandma ìlú òyìnbó ti sún wọn but wọn ò ní choice. Ẹ jẹ́ n túbọ̀ yẹn kà. Bloodline refers to ìran ọmọ Yorùbá, the direct ancestral lineage or pedigree of human or animal representing the shared genetic characteristics passed down through generations. Ṣó wá dá kí àwọn baba ńlá wa tó ti lọ kó máa wẹ̀yìn kí ni wọ́n máa bàjẹ́ látara pé àwọn kan ti gbà ìran wa àbí wọ́n fẹ́ ń ṣe gbogbo tí ìran wa máa fi ti somersault. Mo kẹ́yìn tẹ́ wà ní Paris. It signifies inherited heritage, tracing descent from common ancestors. Bí Ọlọ́run ṣe dá wa, ó yàtọ̀ sí àwọn ẹ̀yà tó kù. Bí ṣe jókòó báyìí nísìn, wọ́n jẹ́ máa sọ fún yín pé ọmọ Oòduà, ọmọ káàárọ̀ oòjíire lẹni tó jókòó yìí látara ìmúra mi. Ẹ̀yà tó ò bá wá mọ irú ìmúra yìí, ó gbọ́dọ̀ lè máa gbọ́ bí ìran yìí ṣe jẹ́. Ṣé kó wá dáa kí àwọn kan wá fọ́ọ̀sì wa pé àfi tá bá múra báwọn ṣe ń múra lọ́jọ́ iwájú pé tẹ́ ẹ̀ bá múra báyìí tẹ́ ẹ̀ bá ṣe báyìí kò ṣeé ṣe pé àjọ máa gbé lórí ilẹ̀ wa. Agbọ́n kankan pé ní Ondo State àwọn archaeologists wọ́n náà rí human skull ní side ibì kan ní Ondo State. Ta ló rántí? Talent tó gbọ́ history yẹn pé ibì kan wà nínú Ondo State tó wà unique tó bá human skull a ti fi ṣètò lọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ rí lórí ìkànnì yìí. Mo fẹ́ wo bí alẹ́ tó rántí. Mo kí bàbá wa Bẹ́dùn George ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ìkànnì. How many people remember that human skull tó bá yẹn, they were able to trace it back padà sí ìrántí wa. A máa mú information yìí jáde. Mo kàn fẹ́ wò bí a bá rẹ́ni tó rántí ẹ̀, but tá a bá wá rẹ́ni tó rántí, a mú jáde torí ó wà lára tí a ti fi ṣe program dá lórí ìkànnì yìí. Mo kí gbogbo alẹ́ nǹkan sí. Mo kí bàbá wa àbí ìyàwó dẹ̀ ní ọ̀rọ̀ Àníkẹ́. Wọ́n ní yes, mo rántí. Mo kí gbogbo èèyàn wa. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni, a ti rẹ́ni tó dá wa lóhùn lórí YouTube. Ìwo Eléru. How many people knows where or have heard about it? If you've never heard about it, just say yes, because you're going to learn something today. Wọ́n pè bẹ́ẹ̀ ní Ìhò Eléru. Kí ni wọ́n rí níbẹ̀ nínú cave yẹn? Báwo ló ṣe jẹ́? Àwọn wo ni? Ìran wo ni? Kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀? According to what we know, kò ń ṣọ̀rọ̀ 1,000 years ago lọ́rọ̀ tí ọ̀rọ̀ Ìwò Eléru yìí. No matter what, we must maintain who we are, even if we are still in Nigeria. A gbọ́dọ̀ gbà kí àwọn ẹ̀yà kọ̀ọ̀kan fẹ́ àwa sẹ́yìn débi pé wàá fẹ́ tú wa ká. Torí wọ́n mọ tán ṣe. They use that in the politics, and they use that in many other areas of lives of our people. So let's give you a background. Ìhò Eléru are spelled H-I-H-O. Eléru, E-L-E-R-U. Just type that on Google. Bí a tẹ́ bá wo program yìí tán, àbí if you have another device, and start reading with me. Because ní ìkànnì tiwa yìí, ká tó jáde wá sọ̀rọ̀, we have done some research based on what Baba Akintoye has helped us. Because àwa náà mọ̀. Àwa náà mọ̀. Àbọ̀rọ̀ mo yé nísìn. But the fact that we have now known, mo kí bàbá mi Dr. Fẹ́mi Owóládé Ẹ̀ṣẹ́gan tẹ́ darapọ̀ mọ́ wa. Nígbà yẹn lásìkò tó pọ̀, torí mo mọ̀ pé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wa la ní níta fẹ́ ṣe. Bí ẹ bá ní tí ẹ fẹ́ kunlé, ẹ pè wá, ẹ jẹ́ ká mọ̀. Ẹ nílé tẹ́ fẹ́ kun, ẹ jẹ́ ká mọ̀. Let's go back to the conversation. Ìhò Eléru, a cave of ashes. Ó wà níbi kan tó ń pè ní Ìsanrun ní Ondo State, Nigeria. Is a global significant archaeological rock shelter dating back to over 13,000 years. Do you know the meaning of 13,000 years? Pé ibì kan wà láàrin wa nílẹ̀ káàárọ̀ òjíire nínú Nàìjíríà, and it is been as far back as 13,000 years ago. Ṣó wá dá kí ìran tí ó ti exist as far back as 13,000 years kó wá di pé another 13,000 years wọ́n gbúrò ẹ̀ mọ́? Ó possible tàbá wà determine láti keep ẹ̀. We know that there are people, there are other tribes. Ẹ̀ṣẹ́gani, the gifters, we love you, we appreciate you, and we are grateful for every single penny that you are giving us on the channel. Why are we discussing this? It's just to continue to remind us that we are still not yet out of danger, because evidence has shown that humans will want to take over another humans. Ó máa gbìyànjú. And if you don't know that, let me remind us, if you live in the UK and you are going to get your British passport, you must do what they call life in UK. How long did Romans spend during the time in the UK? How long? So that you can have an idea that people would do everything to make sure that your own heritage is distorted with lies. They will come with many lies. Wọ́n máa parọ́ oríṣiríṣi. And especially when they are using very, very nasty derogatory statement on we the Yoruba people. because in tó fẹ́ ṣe ni pé wọ́n fẹ́ weaken spirit wa. They want to make us look like we are not who we are. Especially àwọn ẹ̀yà kejì, gbogbo yín lẹ mọ̀ wọ́n. They are good at that. And they want to be ẹ̀yà kan wà pàyànpàyàn làwọn. Àwọn ẹ̀yà kan wà àwọn fẹ́ dominate yín. Àwọn náà fẹ́ dominate yín. So they are playing politics and games with every single one of us. So while we're still in Nigeria, we must open our eyes very clear. So let's give you the background. The Romans occupied Britain. Do you know that the Romans were here for 400 years? Ni wọ́n fi control ìlú yìí back during that era. The Romans occupied Britain. They were being occupied by the Romans for 400 years from the successful of invasion initiated by Emperor Claudius in AD 43. Ó máa look like bó ti pẹ́, but kò pẹ́. Their final withdrawal was in AD 410, while Julius Caesar raided Britain in 55 and 54 BC. A permanent direct presence was not established until Claudian conquest. Do you know the meaning of conquest? Àwa náà ní a fẹ́ quest, we want something. But when we look at the word conquest, C-O-N-Q-U-E-S-T, conquest, kí ló ń pè bẹ́ẹ̀? Let's look at the English dictionary quickly so that we can get a meaning of such word. Tá bá sọ pé conquest. Once again, a very good evening and welcome. What is the meaning of the word conquest? My name is OLAYOMI KOIKI and I welcome you once again to our evening discussion. So let's hear the pronunciation in words. The word conquest.
Conquest.
The word
Conquest.
refers to the act of gaining control over a place. Àwọn Fúlàní fẹ́ gain control over ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. Àwọn ẹ̀yà tó kù náà wọ́n fẹ́ gain control. And when we want to gain control, they can even use politics. When President Tinubu came to power, we saw how they were working to make sure that they destabilize his government. Oh, because our táwa ń fẹ́ Yorùbá nation, we must now condemn him and throw him into the water. So that kẹ́yìn lè wà conquest lórí wa, àbí? Because the moment you conquest Tinubu, then you might as well just conquer every one of us. Tó kù. Because if give and take, we even say kò possible, wọ́n ò lè ṣe. We saw there was an attempt for a coup to take him out in a democratic government. Whether it favors you, whether it doesn't favor me. But if they were able to achieve it, gbogbo àwọn tíyàwó wọn sunkún, tí arákùnrin tó ń dìde fẹ́ lọ support wọn, torí òun máa ń jà fún mẹ̀kúnnù, ó fẹ́ lọ jà fáwọn tó fẹ́ overthrow ìjọba Tinubu. I'm talking about Sowore now. I can mention his name. Because òun máa ń jà fún mẹ̀kúnnù káàkiri. Tó bá jẹ́ pé àwọn tó fẹ́ attempt kú yẹn, wọ́n rí kú yẹn ṣe, tí wọ́n tẹ̀ tó wá mú ẹ̀mí Tinubu lọ, ṣe mọ̀ pé wọ́n ti conquer wa díẹ̀. Because àwọn ìran Fúlàní làwọn tó fẹ́ ṣe kú. So the word conquest refers to the act gaining, wọ́n fẹ́ gain control ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. And the moment they are able to gain and control a place, wọ́n ní the act of gaining, kò sẹ́ni tó fẹ́ ṣe òwò tó fẹ́ jèrè. Kò sẹ́ni tó fẹ́ rán ọmọ ẹ̀ lọ sí yunifásítì tó fẹ́ jókòó gbé lọ́jọ́ iwájú kọ́lọ́ jẹ́ ń jèrè ẹ̀. Kò sẹ́ni tó fẹ́ jáde nínú ilé ẹ̀ pé Ọlọ́run jẹ́ ń rí tí máa jẹ ká má pàdé tó máa jẹ wá. We want to gain something, but are we also looking for those that wants to make sure that gaining yẹn à ní rí? Àwọn èèyàn kan dúró bẹ́ẹ̀ pé no matter what, ilẹ̀ Yorùbá tẹ̀yìn pariwo yẹn ẹ̀ ní gain kankan nínú ẹ̀. And that is why they are putting pressure on Tinubu right now himself. Because wọ́n mọ̀ pé Tinubu, no matter what, even if he as bad as you might think, he might still look back. Pé ibì kan lòun ti wá. At least so far, Yorùbá ló ṣì lò nínú gọ́ọ̀mẹ̀ntì ẹ̀ tó pọ̀. Just like Buhari did the same thing. You can call it tribalism, tribalistic, it doesn't matter. Buhari did more than that. But the fact that we are not just talking about that alone now, we are talking about people that can use that same conquest in 2031 till President Tinubu bá parí government if he returns back to power after the election. Because we know that Usman Dan Fodio agenda is real. There's nobody that can deny that. There was someone called Usman Dan Fodio, and ó dẹ̀ sọ pé òun máa dípò Quran sínú Atlantic Ocean lẹ́kọ̀ọ́, and he will use any kind of kọ́ni matter. Kò bá jẹ́ Ṣáwá ló máa fi wọlé ni, kò bá jẹ́ ó yá ọmọ Yorùbá tó láìkó owó ẹgbowó, kò bá jẹ́ ọmọ Yorùbá tó máa fún níyàwó pé ìyàwó ló fẹ́, aláwọn ọmọ Fúlàní tó fàìn dáadáa, ó pọ̀ mélòó ló fẹ́, àgbélé ẹ lọ́wọ́. Ó ti ń ṣẹlẹ̀ nílẹ̀ Yorùbá láàárọ̀ yìí. Bloodline. Ṣé mọ̀ pé àwọn ọmọ tí wọ́n jọ ń exchange tó ń fúnra wọn níyàwó, tó ń gba ìyàwó lọ́wọ́ ara wọn, ó yá ẹ fún Fúlàní. Ṣé mọ̀ pé àwọn ọmọ yẹn lọ́jọ́ iwájú wọ́n máa ní right láti jọba nílẹ̀ Yorùbá? Yes. Ẹ̀dẹ̀ nílé challenge wọn. Kódà tá a bá ń sọ pé àwọn ọmọ yìí kọ́ ló máa jẹ́, àwọn kan á dìde láàrin ìran tiwọn náà, ìran bloodline. Pé yes, we have every right. Ọmọ wa ni, ó bímọ fọ́ba yín, ó dẹ̀ gbọ́dọ̀ jọba nílẹ̀ Yorùbá. Ìyẹn mo ṣe ń béèrè pé ṣé lọ́jọ́ iwájú àní ríran kan tó máa dìde pé òun fẹ́ jọba nílé Ifẹ̀ tó dẹ̀ ń ṣọmọ Yorùbá? Mo kí yín Ẹ̀wẹ̀só Ológo One, mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin wa lórí TikTok. Àní gbà yín lásìkò tó pọ̀, ẹ bá mi share program yẹn sórí profile yín. Pan African Union, mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wọlé. We are discussing about the Yoruba future and our race in Nigeria and in Africa as a whole. Mo padà sí, mo ti fún yín ní meaning of conquest. Is that as explanatory enough, or do you want me to expand it a little bit? Because tá bá dúró lórí conquest yẹn alone, it means that I can take you to the next one that says kò wá ń ṣe bí kan nìkan lọ́nà fẹ́ control. They will also control the person. Àwọn wo ni person? Ẹ̀yà Yorùbá. Tó wá dá kí a wà nílẹ̀ Yorùbá torí pé a fẹ́ ṣẹ̀sìn ká wá máa wọ ṣòkòtò tó balẹ̀. A ti ń rí nílẹ̀ Yorùbá tó ń sọ pé obìnrin ò gbọ́dọ̀ wọ ṣòkòtò nìkan. À ń ṣe Arab. I was born as a Muslim, but a kì í ṣe Arab. Ìran wa gbọ́dọ̀ maintain in tán pè ní ìran wa. We will love Islam and Christianity. Ẹ lè lè kúrò nínú ilẹ̀ Yorùbá, but we don't want terrorism to be used as an eye mark for Islam in Yorùbáland. So don't come and tell me, oh, he doesn't like it. I was born as a Muslim. Whether I still practice it is my own cup of tea. Conquest. They are suffering perfect control place. Ibo ló ń pè ní place. From Kwara to Lagos State. They want to control the person. Àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá tá wà nínú ẹ̀. Whether you live in diaspora, whether you live at home, it doesn't matter to them. Or situation through force. Of a fee force. How can people be moving with AK-47 and you don't understand the game? I mean, you don't understand what their plan is, the game. They are moving with AK-47. But yet, some of you don't want to understand that there is an hidden agenda to conquer the southwest of Nigeria for their own gain. And until the country is fully put back into what some of you call restructure, while some of us say we want self-determination, there is tendency that we might be conquered. And when you go back to Iho Eleru, 13,000 years ago, they were able to find the skull. And when they put it in the science and started examining it, who are these people? And why are they different? they were able to find out that these are people that are Yoruba and they have been existing for 13,000 years plus. So what that way, because our 21st century and we lose our guard for people that are determined to make sure that they will do everything to conquer us. We must not lose our guard. We must continue to put the message out there in the public domain. Kò mí pé àwọn ẹ̀yà yẹn à nífẹ̀ẹ́ wọn, but we must remember that there is a mission for them to conquer us if we are not careful. And this is not to scare anybody. I have told you that history can repeat itself if you do not guide yourself properly. We just come up to 7:14. Like I said, this program will end prior before 8. But we are 55 minutes into the broadcast already. And I'm not going to take much of your time because we will go straight into it. The location of Iweleru is situated in southwest Nigeria, approximately 20 kilometers from Akure. Akure is a Fulani place. Is it an Igbo place? No, it's not. Yes, it's part of Nigeria, but it's part of the southwest. But something significant was found. A major finding took place in 1965, 5 years after Nigeria going independent. A skull, Cavaria and Medubo, was discovered by a team led by Thorsten Shaw, showing a mix of modern and ancient Arctic features. Historic significance. It proves human habitation in West African rainforest was much earlier than previously thought. Pé nígbà tí wọ́n rí àríṣà ìtàn sọ yìí tọ́rí lọ́wọ́ ṣe realize pé àwọn ẹ̀yà kan tí ń bẹ tipẹ́tipẹ́ àwọn ìyàwó náà ni àwa náà lẹ̀yà náà. But because we are intertwined, some people might say, kò matter, má worry. But that agenda that they have is real. It also shows evidence of life after excavation found over 500,000 later Stone Age artifacts including microlith and early evidence of plants. Archaeology. The site has been used for continuous human occupation ranging from the Stone Age to the present. In Torini Akure, the importance of it. Status. It was declared a national monument in 1992 but remains largely underdeveloped for tourism. So that should be a priority for any governor in their state. This place, we turn it to, and I don't want to mention names of places that you have traveled to for your own pilgrimage. Because a lot of us have traveled to places for our pilgrimage, which is your right. Ó jẹ́ káwa náà sọ bẹ̀yẹn di pilgrimage tí plane mama land to mama take off, to mama land to mama take off. If we have done the needful to protect and make it a place for people to visit. Because when we're talking about 13,000 years, that is a long time ago. It might look like I can mention 13,000. But when you start looking back, numbers to numbers, you realize that, wow, 13,000 years. A lot of you know your age. Now, add your age with 13,000 years, and you realize that, wow, is a huge number. But today I can say 13,000. So going back to the meaning of bloodline, as we've been explaining, lineage, ancestral, pedigree, and we must do everything in our capacity to continue to maintain it. So that is coming from the angle of the bloodline. But because of the time, let's move straight. Yorùbáland must not forget who we are. The next topic. Only ro Yorùbá ronú o. Ṣé máa pé wọ́n kọrin yẹn nígbà tí àwọn Ìgbòho ṣà tó wà ní Kogi State ní last week. Ṣé máa pé àwọn cultural troopers yẹn tán jó yo Yorùbá ronú o. Some of us have even forgotten who we are because we have been carried away by the new world that we are living. The world that àwọn tó ń determine life tá à ń gbé nísìn, they are controlling to their own favour, especially from the west. Àwọn ló ń determine in tá máa ṣe, in tá máa jẹ, the world order, making sure that they can control us. Wọ́n ń jà ní Iran nísìn, ó ń affect àwa táwa Nàìjíríà. Tó bá jẹ́ pé Nàìjíríà ti ṣe gbogbo tí ẹ kó ṣe infrastructure wise láti 1960, mo bá family mi sọ̀rọ̀, bí ṣe ń bá wọn sọ̀rọ̀, wọ́n múná lọ ní more than 3, 5, 10 times. Lẹ́ni ni mo ń sọ yìí. If we have put things in place, and I'm not talking about this government alone, I'm talking about from 1960 to military bá gbàjọba, like I explained to you this week, I did that program. 8 mo kí yàwá ní kí ó tó jẹ́ mẹ́ta, àárín ẹ ti ṣiṣẹ́ lọ, Ọlọ́run á fún wa ní àlàáfíà àti iṣẹ́ tí mo máa jẹ́ kí a fi tọ́jú ẹbí àtàrà. 8 times from 1966 títí dé 1983 làwọn military boys lọ fi operate, lọ fi ń ṣayékáyé. Kú méjì ló ṣẹlẹ̀ ní 1966, ìkan ṣẹlẹ̀ ní January, ìkan ṣẹlẹ̀ ní July. Buhari gbàjọba, Babangida gbàdànù, Abacha wọlé, ó gbá Ṣónẹ́kàn lọ. So Yorùbáland must not forget who we are. That is the other part. We can continue to expatiate on that. But let's leave that and now come back to the next one, Nigeria. We are still in Nigeria. And while we are still in Nigeria, what must we continue to emphasize on? I was watching the news, TVC channels and Arise, in between the international news. And I saw that FEC, the Federal Executive, have released money for local government and our governors. Huge money, up to the trillions. And let me tell you what they've done. According to AI Overview, again, March 2026, the Federal Account Allocation Committee, long in effect, FAAC. Because when you come here, we must hold them accountable. Some of us don't even know the figure. Okay, you want to hold them accountable, but what is the figure? Has distributed a record. Do you know what I mean by record? Owó tí wọ́n deliver, distributed in the probably from Obasanjo up to date, but 2 trillion naira to Nigerian 3 tiers of government, with local government council receiving 468.826 billion naira across the 36 states. This total is the second time in 2026 that disbursement have exceeded 2 trillion naira, highlighting increase yet often questioned funding to the state and local level. Kí ló ń fowó ṣe? All this funding that they are releasing to the state and the local government, what are we doing with it? And how are we going to use it for the benefit of our people? We must question that. Okay, we want to question and push President Tinubu, but we forgot that we have governors that we must also ask question. Kí lẹ̀ ń fowó yẹn ṣe? Mo kí àwa Bali, mo ń wágò, ẹ má worry, a máa pàdé níjẹ̀bú parapọ̀. Èmi náà mo ní ká ṣe ní aago 8. Èmi náà wágò nílùú òyìnbó, a jọ wà ní same time ní 25. So ètò yìí máa tán before 8. Mo kí yín dáadáa. The local government, Eshegoni Ifeoluwani, what are they using all the money for in the state? Kí lẹ̀ ń fowó yẹn ṣe? Our governors are very lazy. They should be held accountable. Ìyàwó Nikki on TikTok. We can come here and lambast, for those of you that wants to do that, President Tinubu, but we forgot that money is still being pushed to the local government and our governors. And I believe that as much as we are told from what we have been hearing that we have a full autonomy. Do you know the meaning of autonomy? That the local government funding goes direct to the local government, but whether the governors are allowing them to use the money judiciary for the benefit of our people, from healthcare to primary healthcare to schools to public schools to the roads and the little infrastructure the local government can do, while the state takes care of the major one and we hold the federal. Somebody's asking, have they give local government autonomy? That's why I said, if you had the presentation I just said now, that even if they've given them, I believe some of the governors are controlling the local government. Koda, if the federal government releases 468.4826 billion naira to all the 734 local government, according to if we have a full autonomy, because autonomy I might not be able to bring anybody in because of my time constraint, especially on the TikTok. It will take me away from my time. We have 773 local government. Thank you very much. But we are hearing that, if I can check it out, let's check it out. Let's do a quick check. Do we now have a full local government autonomy in Nigeria? Let's see what comes out of it. According to the AI overview, no. Nigeria does not yet have the full functioning local government autonomy, despite a landmark in July 2024. Do you see that? Somebody's asking me, what is the point you're making? Because you're asking a question that has already been answered in my presentation. If your federal government has released money to the local government and the local government is not using the money, or okay, you came in late, okay. So what I'm explaining is that the FEC, many of us know the meaning of FEC, F-A-A-C. The FEC, according to the news coming out today, releases 2.04 trillion, and I'm told that is the highest record. Out of that 2.04 trillion naira, 468.826 billion naira was released to the local government, 773 according to someone that helped me there. Now I'm asking the question, what is my governor in Ogun State, Dakwa Abiodun? What is your governor, Seyi Makinde, Ayedatiwa, Adeleke, Sanwo-Olu? What are they doing to make sure that this money is used judicially for the people within the state, in the local government? When we now asked, good evening, my sister Leo Motosho. When we are now asking, do we have full local government autonomy? Somebody asked that question. We've gone back to it, and according to the information as of today, it says no. So that means that some of the things that we are told at any full local government autonomy, even some people believe that we have got state police. There's no state police yet. It's still in the making. But when news flash out and say state police, somebody will just go with that and say Atini State Police. When the news flash and say local government autonomy, we run with that. Unfortunately, okay, 774 local government, okay. Whether it's 774, 773, but the fact remains is that huge amount of money. Now the president is saying we should hold the governors accountable. That is the question, is how? Okay, somebody is now asking me, Koiki, how do we hold my governor? You where you talk, you sit down for London. How are you going to hold your governor accountable? That means that we will educate our people, which is what we are doing right now. Yes, 774 local government. Somebody also confirmed it back again on TikTok. Thank you so much because that is part of the engagement. The question of how do we hold them accountable from Kwara to Kogi State can be debatable, can be discussed. I will not have a one-way answer. More than answer. But what we can do is continue to highlight it as we are doing right now, and hopefully, because our governors, program to not just myself here, they have all their staff. They're watching me right now. Yes, we must tell our people that money has been released, but unfortunately, we don't have a full autonomy of local government. Because direct local government account. This is where some people say we need a strong institution. Governor tó bá ṣetán tẹ̀rí pé ó ti ṣetán kò ṣe tó yẹ kó ṣe, kí institution kò gbé, but nígbà tó bá tún di party member, so there's a lot that can go back to the question of that Nigeria, because whatever we are discussing now will be what is going to help the economy of Nigeria. Mo kí gbogbo àwọn èèyàn wa lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí i. Local government autonomy will be strict upon after 2027 elections, and the governors will not have their way. Let's pray and hope so. Tinubu has demolished the institution, according to somebody on the TikTok, because I'm working with time. Once again, a very good evening and welcome. Mokibu Wenyewa. Demand for freedom of information, FOI. We know our governors, demolish, you want to say, will probably not even want us to know that what he release owó fún wọn. Owó ìkòdè ṣe April or release it. What he release owó yẹn láti March. But the information has just filtered out because the federal government probably just released the information. So when we go to the news in Nigeria about autonomy, Bamidele Atoyode says, without full financial autonomy for local government, there will be no real progress. That is one of the headlines on this day, on the 27th of December 2025. Let's go back to the Guardian Nigerian news. Supreme Court verdict, 19 months after governor explored gaps in constitution, released of local government autonomy. So they've given the power for local government autonomy to function, but yet that local government autonomy seems not to have taken effect. And what that means is that it has impact of Iyatoko Ntalubosa to the Fenromwe public school, but the public school is not available because money is not with the local government. So again, it shows that the entity Nigeria has a lot at its hand. I'm just trying to move to the next one. We've talked about the bloodline. Etebashe and Wole, the bloodline means that we must not allow Iranwa, Kokpare. Yoruba must not forget who we are. Lẹ́ẹ̀kọ̀ọ̀kan ká kàn rántí pé ọmọ ẹni tí à ń ṣe. À ń sọ̀rọ̀ nípa Nigeria. Nigeria is where we picked up money, release, huge money. I mean, 468 billion is not a joke. It's a lot of money. And when you look at all the news, they've all picked it. But going back to I picked up something from the current Minister of Finance that goes back to the economy. I brought it back to my timeline on X. I'm going to play the soundtrack, and I want you to listen to it and tell me how true could this be, or maybe we just want to learn something, myself and you. I've listened to it twice, but I want us to look at it, listen to it yourself, and then tell me what you feel in the comment section.
Part of the context before I go into details is also something that I hear always. One thing I always promise people.
I hope the sound is loud enough. Can you hear the sound? It seems, my system seems to be a little bit lower, but I'm not sure why. Let me play it again. Comment section if you can hear it, and I'll try to be quiet now.
Now, part of the context before I go into details is also something that I hear always. One thing I always promise people that I'll promise you today is I'll always be honest with you. Whether you now like the outcome or not is a different thing, but I'll be honest with you. And I'm not here to promote anyone, not even the government. I'm speaking to facts, and you make your own decisions. Many people would ask today, and I saw it during the recent MBA conference in Enugu. They will say, is your life better today than it was 2 years ago? Of course, the answer would be a resounding no. But the problem is not with the answer, the problem is with the question. The question presupposes that you did nothing and maintained the status quo as it was as of May 2023, that our life today will be exactly the same as it was 2 years ago. And a liter of petrol will be the same amount. A bag of rice will be the same amount. Exchange rate of dollars will be the same amount. Guess what? That is the biggest fallacy. If government had not introduced the reforms that they introduced in the past 2 years, the picture will look like what you have on the screen. As at May 2023, I tried to use traffic colors. Nigeria was amber, waiting to turn red. You know amber can turn to green, but this was amber turning red. It got so bad that Nigeria was trading a negative balance of payments. We're receiving less dollars than we're spending. Nigeria had printed about 30 trillion naira to spend, just printing money to spend. That's part of the inflation we are dealing with today, because government ran out of revenue. We spent 97% of federal government revenue to service debts, which meant everything else we did, from paying salaries to overhead to capital, we borrowed. We didn't borrow at lower digit interest rates. They were high 20s. The NNPC was supposed to be remitting money to the Federation account. NNPC said the government was owing them money. How? Because all of our entitlements, NNPC used it to subsidize PMS. It wasn't enough. They went to all the oil companies that were supposed to pay royalty, lifted the oil for royalty, sold it, used it to subsidize PMS. It wasn't enough. The taxes that they were supposed to pay, petroleum profit tax, they said to FRS, we won't be able to pay you. They added it to subsidy. It still wasn't enough. When they ran out of options, guess what they did? They said, how about future production of crude oil? NNPC began, and this is not Africa magic, I'm telling you real life. They began to use future production of crude oil as guarantee, security, to borrow dollars at double-digit interest rate to subsidize current consumption of PMS. They did it so much so that today that I speak to you, we can barely boast of equivalent of 200,000 barrels.
Let me stop it there. We've heard what he said. This is the current finance minister, after Wale Edun has been removed. Mr. Taiwo, I believe his name. He says, and I quote, that Nigeria, we always say that, why are we paying more for what we have now when it was cheaper then? And, somebody just said, why are we shifting goalposts? Okay, I don't know what you mean by that, but that is a question that you asked. I don't know. Maybe you can emphasize on that. Let's go back again. It says that Nigeria was turning to amber, turning red. That means, this government would, if it hasn't done anything, we could have collapsed as countries, Cuba or maybe, any other country of such. But it was still the same APC that took over from APC. It's not like PDP was there and, he also talked about how NNPC was telling the government that NNPC that is meant to be our bulk of revenue, bringing money for Nigeria through that platform, eventually said the government is owing them money. Royalties is a very important part of, this crude oil that we have, has already been sold. What he's trying to explain in just a layman is that Nigeria gone likely to have collapsed. Do you agree with that? And what is your own take? That in as much as we are lamenting every day, we are still lamenting today, that things will have been worse off. I come across the video and I thought I should ask question. That Kile Yurisi. It's unfortunate that I believe the sound was a very, it's not to my satisfaction. Let me try from here.
Now, part of the context before I go
let's
into
try from here.
details is also something that I hear always. One thing I always promise people that I promise you today is I'll always be honest with you. Whether you now like the outcome or not is a different thing, but I'll be honest with you. And I'm not here to promote anyone, not even the government. I'm speaking to facts, and you make your own decisions. Many people would ask today, and I saw it during the recent MBA conference in Enugu, they would say, is your life better today than it was 2 years ago?
Ǹjẹ́ ayé wa better leni than 2 years ago? We do a lot of comparison to say, why are we buying petrol at £1,350 naira? I hope my statistics is right. I don't know how much it is today, but I know it was up to that price. And he's saying that, well, maybe things would have been worse off because, we don't have, and this is where the global world event is having a big impact because today Iran is not collecting dollar from all the vessels. Iran actually seized 3 vessels yesterday. And for any vessel to pass through, they have to pay in yuan, which is the Chinese currency, or they have to, pay in crypto, trying to get away from, America has crippled Iran economy for a very long time, for decades. And that means, dollar is not something that Iran is gaining a lot. Most of the crude oil, Iran in ta, they're selling it to China. If Nigeria has been put in a place where things have worked for many years, this war will have been of benefit to us because we will be selling more crude oil. Remember the Gulf War. Remember during the Gulf War, there was a lot of issues of Ekpotiwonota. The revenue never came back. I'm sure some of you have heard about that, event as a time it was playing out during the Gulf War. Now there's another war. We are meant to be selling our crude oil and be making more money. But NNPC doesn't have even the revenue saying that the government is owing them. Royalties that is meant to be paid to the federal government, we are even, not having enough of it. So let's listen a little bit more before we start winding down the program because 20 to 8.
Of course, the answer will be a resounding no. But the problem is not with the answer, the problem is with the question.
The problem is with the question, too much English. Sometimes na wahala. All this English is too much for some of us.
The question presupposes that if we did nothing and maintain the status quo as it was.
Tí a kò dúró bí, omi tó wà tó jẹ́, that water that is not flowing through. Mo kí our Margaret Ibijoke. Even if they are historical site for excursion or holiday, there is no good roads nor security to encourage people to visit, which is highlighting Iwo Ileru. Because definitely without good security, good road network, airport that is meant to be functioning, if all this is not in place, it will be difficult for anybody to visit such a site. I will not even encourage such if you are likely to be kidnapped. We saw a GUO bus that was kidnapped not too far from, the Jabu axis. Just before we start winding down, let's hear a little bit more.
In 2023, that our life today will be exactly the same as it was 2 years ago. A liter of petrol will be the same amount. A bag of rice will be the same amount. Exchange rate of dollars will be the same amount. Guess what? That is the biggest fallacy.
But if you think that, is what he's saying, I'm just translating as much as Moleshe. But irọ́ gidi pé tá bá rò pé tá bá gbà àwọn ìgbésẹ̀ tá gbé your life wa ma better. Our life is still not better. Things are still difficult. Things are expensive. Job creation is not there.
Government had not introduced the reforms that they introduced in the past 2 years. The picture will look like what you have on the screen. As at May 2023, I tried to use traffic colors. Nigeria was amber.
Nigeria wà ní amber, ó ti fẹ́ collapse. Ṣé Nigeria gan ti collapse báyìí? Pẹ̀lú ìyà táwọn ìyà wa ń jẹ lójoojúmọ́. Because yes, iṣẹ́ tàwọn ni pé kó ṣe analysis yìí, but it's also the job of the government to have put things in place to ease the lives of our people. And that goes us back to the fake allocation that has been distributed. Now we know that there's nothing called, local government autonomy. So whatever money is coming from local government still goes to your governor, and your governor now say, ìwọ chairman yẹn, support me àbí? Ní side ibi, and release owó fún yín. And we've seen that happening, in many of the states. So as we wind the program down, let's just take the little bit from it again, and then I'll start bringing the program to the final conclusion.
Waiting to turn red. Amber can turn to green, but this was amber turning red. It got so bad that Nigeria was trading a negative balance of payments.
Àtẹ̀náwó kankan tá à ń san, gbèsè wa kọ̀ lọ gbùrù sókè. When Obasanjo was almost leaving, we heard that Obasanjo paid all our debt. I mean, Obasanjo paid all our debt. So our expectation with, since Obasanjo has paid all our debt, whoever was coming into the power should probably not have borrowed enough as well. So just in conclusion, to wind it down, and when I look at the comment section on this particular video, there was still a lot of people that disagree with this, current Minister of Finance, because this is the man that is now in control of the money. Baba Gbowole, Eshegon Miriam Oyetunji. So we will still hear more from him, and also a lot of other things as is taken over from Mr. Wale Edun that has been relieved by the President Bola Tinubu. So just on the final note, we've talked about almost 4 topics and we've balanced it, but we can never be perfect. The question is still coming all the time. Are we still doing Yoruba Nation? When you look at the bloodline, if we don't have Yoruba Nation, maybe we're still in Nigeria. Definitely they are politicians. We know that. He's speaking on behalf of the federal government, so he would put a presentation that will be sweet enough. But again, it's for the masses, the citizens to digest it and look into it. Moving forward, like I said, the bloodline means that if we are not careful, whether we have Yoruba Nation, whether we remain in Nigeria, we might lose our bloodline. Because even if people say Tinubu is not Yoruba man and all that, we had a lot of people, say that. Millions of people believe he's a Yoruba man, and that means we are seeing somebody that looks like us, that probably even if he's not representing us, but at least he looks more or less like us. Imagine after 2031, Tinubu leaves the office, God's willing, spare all our lives, then we will come back in and be talking about somebody else that is not looking like us, probably might not have the same agenda like whatever agenda Tinubu has as well. Yorùbáland, we talked about it. We must not forget who we are. Agbodo Gbagbe, anytime she. As we continue the engagement, like I said, on this platform, we will hold all of them accountable. We will speak directly to most Yoruba people to understand that our presence in Nigeria might still be a big obstacle as having our own sovereignty. I still believe we need our own sovereignty. We need to have our own, government. But since that is not happening, I will not fold my hands now and not discuss about what is happening to the lives of millions of my people. Tinubu never told us he's there for Yoruba. We should be careful. Well, I'm not saying he's there for Yoruba people, but it looks like us, So I'm looking like you. Sitting here, if I dress like a Igbo person now, you start asking, why are you dressing like an Igbo? So yes, he's representing Nigeria, but the interest of the southwest part must be looked into, just like Buhari did as well for the Fulanis. So nobody's saying Tinubu represents Yoruba people. He's representing Nigeria as a whole, which is what any government would do. And that is why it's not listening to Yoruba Nation or anything called Biafra Nation. But like I said in the program at the early hours of this morning, he will play the politics, he will play that card, he will release Nnamdi Kanu just to get the support from the Southeast. Whether they vote for him or not, Nnamdi Kanu might be released. I've done that video this morning. Go and watch that. This program is different from the morning. So as we close this conversation this evening, for the benefit of myself and you, role will OLAYOMI play so that Yorùbáland must not be forgotten. It doesn't matter whether you're on the social media or not. You must have a role that you have to play. You must have your own role to play. The importance of bloodline, would me marry a Fulani woman? I don't think so. That's personally me. Because marrying a Fulani woman might be a big problem for me in Ìjẹ̀bú-Òde lọ́jọ́ iwájú. Because nígbà tí ọba ní kí n wá jọba, yes, mo lè wá lè ní ọba kàn mí, I don't know. Then nígbà tí bá ti wá fẹ́ Fúlàní, mo ti wà láàbọ̀ ní Ìjẹ̀bú-Òde nìyẹn. Torí pé ọmọ tó bá bí fún mi, àánú náà máa di ọba lọ́jọ́ iwájú. Today now we know the heritage of this country. After King Charles is Prince Williams. Kò wọ́n játari ẹ̀, wọ́n ti sẹ́tẹ̀. Prince William becomes the king of this country after King Charles. So this is what we must think about. And as we know Nigeria, there's a lot playing out inside Nigeria. The last part, I watched a video on X. It's an audio. The guy, this is part of a system that needs a lot of work to be done. If I was driving in London and my vehicle collide with anyone, I don't have to punch, I don't have to run after them. Everybody stays where they are and we exchange insurance. A young man was driving from Victoria Island and Elox with a convoy collided with his vehicle, destroyed the mirror. It was just a mirror. They could have just paid him right there and say, hey, Loni, 100,000. Because big man, Kolongbelo, big man, Elox Iduro. Eventually, they lied to him that follow us, we will deal with the problem. But they never dealt with the problem. They picked a race. Eventually, Otokolo truck, more problem. The vehicle that was just a mirror ended up to be another damage. That is the kind of what we are facing in Nigeria. If Tinubu doesn't even perform or he performs, he leaves, another government comes, we are still going to complain. There's no doubt about it. We are still going to complain as humans. So the fact that that vehicle could have stopped, resolved that issue right there and there, but right now, Atowo mirror, because no, not back on now, bouncer eja, otibasho, so they are not even giving him anything. He's now seeking the opinion of probably a legal person to say, can I take them to court? We saw the woman that was just arrested or born bred because she born bred. Go and listen to the video of how she was intimidated. This is still Nigeria. Every day Nigerians are still going through a lot as a citizen. Not that we are not going through the same, but I pray and hope that as we continue to enlighten our people, you will now make a choice of the future that you want. Koikimedia bringing the world closer to your doorstep. And until we meet again, when, I don't know, but be rest assured that you follow us on all our social media platforms. And on that note, thank you so much for being part of the program this evening. And we will be back again. See you some other time. God bless you. Bye for now.